All right, how you guys doing? Nice. Time to start now. Okay. So, I love like 2 days after election day because now you can go back and look at what happened, and you can talk about how statistics doesn't matter anymore. Because you very rarely hear me say that. You very rarely hear me say statistics doesn't matter, because statistics always matters, except sometimes it doesn't. Like 2 days after an election. Why doesn't statistics matter anymore? Because you know the results. What is the point of a statistic? Say that again. Be brave. Elizabeth, we're trying to find the probability of some value, right? How big is it? How small is it? But it's called a statistic because what do we measure? Usually, that of a what? Of a sample, which means there's uncertainty in the results. Did you guys hear, and I noticed this morning making my morning coffee, the pollsters this time around heavily biased the Democratic results. Did you guys hear this? Basically you did too. I did not, I just happened to read it this morning. So apparently a lot of the results that were called by pollsters were too heavily favorably Democratic. Some of them, the Democrats still won, but not by the margins that were being called. Like some Democratic margins, oh, they're going to win by 17 points and they won by 1 point. Or they're going to win by 8 points and they lost by 2. Even Nate Silver was wrong twice. Nate Silver never makes mistakes. Of course, I just said never, I'm a statistician. Of course he's going to make mistakes at some point. But the idea is that the polls this time around were looking, for some reason, pointing too much towards the liberal side. What I find interesting is, the last election cycle, they were pointing too much towards the Republican side, as I read. Did you read that too, Macy, how they flip-flopped? And it makes me wonder why. I hope they didn't do something like, well, it was too far to the right last time, I better swing it back and make it left to average it out. That's what I hope is not happening. But one has to wonder now about that. So I always find that interesting.
It seems like the takeaway from Nate Silver's article about that was basically that there's maybe no pattern and they can't call it. Because he's like, well, we called a few of these heavy towards Democrats, a few heavy towards Republicans, like...
Yeah. What's interesting is a comment I made in 244 about 2 hours ago, Tom. I said all the pollsters should quit, let Nate do all that work. And all the pollsters should do something else with their time. Honestly. I mean, come teach statistics. They'd probably be great statistics instructors. Let Nate run the numbers. He's pretty good at measuring that uncertainty. There is no pattern. Exit polls are one of the most slippery things. I refuse to even talk about them because I don't understand them. I don't understand asking every 10th voter coming out of a building and trying to discern something from that. It all seems like, and it's funny because 10 years ago I said the same thing and I was like, oh, you're an idiot, exit polls are great. And now Nate Silver's agreeing with me, which is, I mean, it's not that hard to see. It's noisy data. There is no pattern.
Yeah.
So, and then statistics don't even matter anymore because Measure 92 failed. There you go. And Measure 86 failed, which broke my heart a little bit because you guys are students. I wanted 86 to pass, even though I want Oregon to fund you guys more than they do. But that was kind of a bittersweet pill for me to swallow. Like, I voted for 86, of course, because I love you guys. But at the same time, I'm like, this shouldn't be a taxpayer burden. This should be a state burden. But we're in Oregon. They'd rather give the money back to you through the kicker than pay it towards it for education. So, you know, for whatever reason. But anyway, so that's why statistics no longer matter for the election cycle for us. The votes are in. There's no more margins of error. 92 lost, 91 won, 90 lost. All the other ones. So for some reason, we voted judges can teach at universities now. That had to be just as important as it.
The military.
Or they can serve in the Coast Guard. Yes, I don't understand why that had to be voted on. Just let them do it. How many of them are there? Like 12? Let them do it. Why is this even voting? I do find it interesting. Somebody asked me a very good question I had no good answer for. How did Kitzhaber get reelected? That was one of my 244. How did Kitzhaber get reelected? And I'm like, honestly, I paid zero attention to any political or politicians running this time around, except once I was driving to a show about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago with my drums in the car, and I put on NPR. And I just happened to turn it on at the same time Kitzhaber and Richardson were doing a debate. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys heard this one or not. It was right after it came to light that Kitzhaber's partner, wife, girlfriend had done something shady before Kitzhaber knew her. And that made news because that's what makes news. And the debate, I turned it off after 7 minutes. I'm from the East Coast. I went to Catholic school. I could take almost anything. I was so pissed off after 7 minutes of listening to the bitching and moaning that Richardson was throwing out at Kitzhaber that I'm like, dude, I can't imagine ever voting for that guy. If that's the way he is as a person, that is the wrong way to vote for a politician, of course, is as a person. I mean, you vote for the issues, right? You vote on how they react on the issues. But I was so put off by this squeaky little voice that just kept, what about your partner? And Kitzhaber's like, can we talk about the state of the economy? What about your partner? I'm like, shh. I would never vote for that guy. I'm not saying that's good, but I'm saying, does that happen a lot? I would imagine it would. I would imagine a lot of people vote like that. Like, I can't stand his voice or what he's saying. I can't stand him because he seemed like an absolute jerk.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a jerk as a governor. Maybe Kitzhaber's a jerk too, but he didn't sound like it on the radio.
Well, in my opinion, what it was when he kept going back to it, it was like, so if I ask you a question and you say yes or no, and then the question's done. I mean...
And did you hear the moderator at one point actually said, sir, we've moved past that now.
Right.
He actually reminded Dave Richardson, like, we're over that. Like,
right. So, like, going, yeah. It's either he didn't get the answer or he's treating him like he didn't answer it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to pretend, because you didn't give me the answer I wanted,
right.
I'm going to ask it again until you give me the answer I want. So then I'll shut up. And that's like not the kind of person I want in elected office.
Right.
Now, whether or not that's a good indicator or not is, but the fact of the matter is that had an impact on me, a non-statistical impact on me. So that was my answer to my student. He's like, I never thought about that before. And I think that's real. I think people vote on opinion. This is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, right? I think we vote from the gut more than we vote from our brain. I would guess. And I think politicians play to that. I mean, why does Jody Barham use her first name? Because it sounds awesome. Jody. Like, that's awesome. That sounds nice and Jody. Did she,
Instead of Ms.
Did she win?
Barron. No.
Did Jody win? She didn't. We don't know.
I saw preliminary.
Okay.
Unfinished result.
Okay. I'm curious. Then there's Tony DeBone.
Yeah,
Gotta put that last name up there.
he won.
He won. Yeah, that last name, how can you not?
Yeah.
It becomes, wait a minute, hang on a second. I just read it in, shoot. I read it in one of Malcolm Gladwell's books called Tipping Point. It's called The Something Something Effect. I'll look it up at the break. The Something Something Effect. He was a president, one of the worst presidents we've ever had. This is going back in the 40s, 50s, maybe 30s, maybe even 20s. I'll find it up at the break. Somebody remind me when we break. The Something Something Effect is if somebody looks like a politician and sounds like a politician, we believe they'll make a good one. And this guy got elected in office because he was like 6'2", broad jaw. I mean, Ronald Reagan became president, for God's sake. The guy's an actor.
Right.
Right? So this guy, broad jaw, the Something Something Effect. I gotta look it up. But this guy made it to office because basically he had handlers from his youngest political days getting him through state offices, regional, then state, then federal offices. The guy was the worst president the country's ever had by every indicator of good presidents and bad presidents, but yet he became president because he looked right, or sounded right, or said the right things, or dressed the right way, or stood the right way. It's crazy. It's crazy, right?
It is.
So they say the right thing and I'll believe you. Wait a minute. How about say what you believe and then I'll believe if I want to believe you or not.
Right.
Right? Don't filter what you're saying based on what you think I want to hear. Tell me what you will do if I put you in that office when you're running my state. Whoa!
There was something that I read once that had pictures of two different candidates, and each one to pick which one you think you won.
Interesting.
And it turns out you're right, and it's based on how they look. There's different ways about how.
When you say right, based on who won in that election.
Yeah, like
Oh,
you don't know
interesting.
who these people are.
You have no
Put
idea.
Two photos side by side. And you're like, well, I think that one probably won.
So they're actual politicians that ran in some race you've never heard of.
And
It's all based on appearance?
it plays a very big part.
Holy crap. Send me that link if you can, Elizabeth. I'd love to see that. If you think of it, just send me that link.
If I can find it.
If you can find it, yeah, or just send me a mention of it, because that's the kind of thing I like to test in 244. Like, will we, on average, make the same conclusion based on these controlled variables? That's fun. That's a fun experiment to do in class. If you think of it.
Even with what Abe Lincoln, his handlers said he looked really weird without a beard, and they told him to grow it so he'd be more approachable.
Oh, interesting. Can't imagine Abe without a beard. Did he have a chin strap or the full thing? Google him later too. I think it was just the Amish chin strap, wasn't it?
Yeah, which year you took it, which year
Oh,
you...
true. Very true. Yes, very true. Very cool.
Yeah, but he did
We're
the
interesting people, aren't
he
we?
did the shaved mustache thing with
Right,
yeah.
right. Cool if he had a Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Abe Lincoln with a Fu Manchu. Totally different outcome in the Civil War. Anyway, on that note. So